Heyo, Greg Branos here for the Coach Speak Index. Got a second draft we're doing right now. Brought in the big guns for this one. He is the lead fantasy analyst at Fantasy Points. Y'all know that's my favorite site. Theo Gremminger, welcome.
No, thanks for having me on, Greg. You've come on School of Scott. You've come on a couple of my podcasts, and I'm happy to be coming over here. So you'll be back over at the Fantasy Points channel also this month. Big shout out to all the work you're doing over here. You crush it, invaluable source, all that good stuff. So happy to draft through a team with you too. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah! Can't wait to chop it up with you again this month over at Fantasy Points. I've got Scott coming on Monday to record a podcast about scheme and personnel changes and some underrated scheme changes in the NFL this year that people that are like very under the radar, stuff like Matt LaFleur kind of changing his backfield philosophy a little bit from what he has said in the past. So can't wait to chop it up with y'all. Super knowledgeable folks over at Fantasy Points. It's the site where I double check all my any like wagering, anything that I'm doing. First, I go look at the Fantasy Points projection and I see like, okay, we're on the same page here. I feel great now. I feel even better about putting some money down on this thing.
There you go.
All right, let's jump in a draft, folks. Best Ball Mania 6 draft on Underdog. Little 5-second heads up. Gonna click this button and we're on our way to $2 million with a simple click of a button, waiting on 6 people to jump in this draft. Waiting on 5 people now. These are 4 people. It's going much quicker now that we're in the throes of training camp. Preseason has started. How any takeaways from these preseason games so far, Theo?
No, I mean, I think that there's a couple of players that I was high on that looked very, very good. I mean, certainly we're not going to change any ADP when it comes to Chase Brown, but we feel a little bit better this morning clicking that button. He looks awesome. Tyler Warren, kind of everything we wanted him to look like. And I think that there's a outcome where no matter who the quarterback is, Tyler Warren ends up being sort of the leader there. So does he have sort of a detrimental effect potentially on a Josh Downs, a player who I like as well? Just some little nuanced takeaways there. We don't try to go head over heels with some of this preseason stuff, but there's always a few wrinkles and nuggets that we like to take away, especially when it's maybe a young player that is running with the ones, something like that. So I'll pay attention to every single preseason game, but I'm not going to let it like completely tilt me this season at all.
Yeah, I was actually pretty upset with the Torrey Horton touchdown last night. I was like, man, that's going to steam him up like an extra round or two now. Like somebody that I was already like happily clicking on at the end of drafts, and feel like that genie is starting to get out of the bottle a little bit.
Yeah, I had Hayden Winks on Dynasty Life, my Dynasty show this week, to talk rookies, and it was like one of the last questions was I was like, which is the rookie sleeper drafter should be adding? And he talked about Torrey Horton, and I'm like, this is, and then the guy scores a touchdown, and that's the fear we have sometimes with pre-recording podcasts, but it's still a great take. But Horton is going to move up around, I think, by maybe 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, well, I've already been clicking him like since that game, like just trying to get ahead of it a little bit. So maybe I'm the problem because I've clicked him in like the 15th, 16th round. So maybe I'm kind of contributing to this ADP jumping up here. I just don't want to be left with little to no Torrey Horton in my best ball portfolio. I think he's a really good pick. I think he's going to be wide receiver 3 there. We got this comment a few days ago from Mike McDonald about, hey, MVS is fighting for his job. He's in a real battle because Torrey Horton is coming on.
Yeah, I mean, Horton was very good at Colorado State, and when I did a lot of prospect stuff certainly on Dynasty Life and on a couple other shows. And there's Torrey Horton stands heading into the NFL draft that were like, Torrey Horton's the guy, Torrey Horton's the guy. And now they're starting to look pretty smart right now. And both of those Mountain West wide receivers are both having strong camps, the Jalen Royals and Torrey Horton, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I've got a buddy who watches. We're on the clock here. ADP wise, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ashton Genty, Brian Thomas Jr., Devon Achane. Any of these guys?
I like a BTJ Achane start. I always like this from the turn. Happy to go in any direction, but I do think BTJ stands out a lot here.
Yeah, love BTJ. Got a good amount of him so far. Love him landing in a spot where Liam Cohen is going to be able to scheme him up, get him. All right, Genty's gone. You said Achane, right?
Yeah, I like Achane here. I think Achane's a good one. We go wide receiver if you want, but I think Achane's an edge.
I believe Achane is my top guy for my rankings as well. So let's go Achane. I've wanted some. I'm below market on him right now. Been wanting to get some more of them. So any excuse that I can get to get them, more than happy to do that. Tyler Warren last night, like the Colts showed like this guy is going to be a part of our plans, and the quarterbacks showed like this is a dude we can like everything that we've heard coming out of camp, everything that we've heard coming from the coaches, like it's just nonstop positive for Tyler Warren. And it's one thing if like the coaches are gassing a guy up and like it's not translating on the field. Like we're not actually seeing that, like the things that they're saying, like we're not seeing on the field, but we're seeing that stuff from all reports out of camp. We saw it last night in the game. This guy, they said they thought he had the best hands in the draft. Like this is a safety blanket for these quarterbacks who like aren't great. Like you just need to get it near his catch radius. And Tyler Warren is coming down with it. And then they throw him like a screen last night. And yeah, like they've been saying, we're going to use them in a lot of different ways. Like we can split them out wide. We can have them in line as a tight end. Like we can get him screens. We can use him in the backfield. I think he's going to be a central, not the central pillar, but I think he's going to be a pillar of that offense.
He could end up being the best Colts pick at ADP this year. And we talked a little in the pre-show sort of about tight ends. It's sort of, I'm getting more and more confident about drafting tight ends this year. There's some really, really appealing players. We talked about a couple of them in the pre-show, but Warren and Loveland, both of those guys were drafted very, very highly. And both of them are ones where I think that they could just take off. It could be this trend of young tight ends hitting. It could really, really continue this year.
Yes, love Tyler Warren, love Colston Loveland as well. You know, we know that the slot receiver in a Ben Johnson offense, like he said, slot receivers are the focal point of my offense. I think Loveland could I don't think he'll be like the slot guy for Ben Johnson, but I think he can get a lot of slot work there. He's also just an incredible yak monster. And you look at what Ben Johnson has said about, like, we're not going to take a lot of deep shots, right? Like the goal for us is to raise Caleb Williams' EPA. And that comes through just like intermediate passes to guys who are really good at picking up yards after the catch. And they spent the 10th overall pick on Colston Loveland. Like, let's pay attention to the draft capital here. Like, they have real plans for this guy, and he's going to be a major, major part of that Bears offense.
Yeah, and you get the discount with Loveland because of the target competition, which is interesting because
we're on the clock here.
Okay, let's do it.
Kyron Williams, Mike Evans, George Kittle, Terry McLaurin, Jaden Daniels.
I like Kyron as our RB2, and it kind of could allow us to be a little bit fragile with this build. I think he's a really good value here at the turn.
Sure.
If you want to lean into the correlation, we could get a little bit of that Tampa Miami correlation with Evans, but I'm whatever, any way you want to go here. If you want to push in a Daniels, you want to push in a Worthy, a Tet, but Evans sort of stands out to me.
Yeah, we can. So we already got Kyron. We can get Evans here now with the next pick. And we got them. So starting out, Devon Achane, Kyron Williams, Brian Thomas Jr., Mike Evans off to a good start here.
Yeah, nice balanced start. Opens us up to some nice week 17 possibilities. And some good teammate correlation here with Tampa Bay. We have an opportunity to do that. And also with potentially adding some Rams very late.
Yeah. Who are your late Rams?
Well, I just think it's interesting with Stafford sort of falling. Depending on this build, we might end up being a 3 QB build. So Stafford is a QB3. Very, very interesting. And I don't mind mixing in a round 18 Tutu Atwell pick, especially in a draft where we miss on Puka, miss on Devontae Adams, sort of like a hedge against the field in a big tournament situation like BBM here on Underdog, where there's just so many entries. Maybe you get a Tutu Atwell week 16, week 17 with one of those guys missing. So, yeah, I don't think you have to force in Rams if you get Kyron, but it's not the worst thing for sure.
Yeah, I've got 10% Tutu Atwell. Sean McVay saying that he's going to play a lot more snaps this year. He's going to get more work. McVay pretty reliable when it comes to usage and workload. Coach speak. Tutu Atwell, real fast dude. Rams play a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. Look at a guy like Jordan Whittington. He's more of a kind of Puka replacement if something were to happen to Puka, which we saw in practice this year. Puka had to miss a day, and Jordan Whittington fit right in there for him. We saw it last year when Puka had to miss some time of Jordan Whittington getting in there. But yeah, I think Tutu Atwell is going to be on the field quite a bit this year.
We also get access to the Zach Robinson Bowl, week 17, Monday Night Football. That could be a hell of a tilt. If you have a little Kyron Williams and maybe a Michael Penix Jr. Correlation, just based on the way this draft is going, that could be a fun one.
Yeah, 2 like consolidated offenses facing off against each other in week 17. Like you can't really ask for much more than that.
Yeah, and you got to think both of those teams potentially are vying for a playoff berth. I think they view themselves that way, and both of them are really strong offenses. And also, like a lot of these Week 17 games we like this year, there's no weather concerns. So usually we're like circling a bunch of games. This year we have only a couple of games where like, oh, the weather could go south. That Philly-Buffalo game, obviously, and a couple other games there. But there's a lot of like Week 17 good weather environments. I don't think we have to worry about it.
ADP wise, James Conner, Roma Dunze, Burrow, RJ Harvey, Olave, Deebo Samuel.
I don't mind going Conner here as our RB3. We talked about the fragility at the position. I think we're getting close to maybe we could even go 4 RB build in this. And then I'm up in the air here. I think that a Dunze is fine, or we could sort of check another running back box with Harvey. I feel like let's go with Dunze. I think a Dunze is fine, unless there's another wide receiver you want to push.
Oh, he just got taken.
Okay.
Yeah, back on the clock. Harvey, Olave, Deebo.
I don't mind mixing in an Olave here. I don't think Olave is necessarily a bad pick here. The risk sort of goes down a bit in round 6.
Yeah, very, very good receiver. I mean, a borderline elite receiver who we're getting a discount on because of the quarterback situation in New Orleans. I think also people are a little bit scared of the injury stuff, even though I think it's not like this isn't the sort of injury that you really need to be worried about. Like it's not a soft tissue thing. It was a concussion, right? Like if he does suffer a concussion this year, then obviously that's going to be bad. That would knock him out for probably more games than just like a player who's suffering their first concussion or maybe like the second concussion in their career. But if one of those quarterbacks ends up being like halfway decent, right? Like if Tyler Shuck kind of finds his footing, then I mean, Chris Olave is going to be a really, really big part of this offense.
Yeah, I mean, with Olave, you sort of talked about it where he's very talented. Obviously, was a first-round pick. and he's always had a very solid target share, always had a very solid air yard share, and now you're paying sort of the cheapest price you paid on Olave since his rookie season. And people are beating up all Saints. I mean, there's a chance that if they can figure out a way to be functional, and really the way that people are drafting Saints now, it's like they're going to be the worst scoring team in the NFL. A lot of times we're sort of bad at picking the worst offense, and some of those teams can provide a bunch of ADP wins. So I'm not like reaching for Olave, but I think structurally he makes a lot of sense. And I think that with them extending him, with Kellen Moore, sort of the way they're talking about him, it's maybe a little bit less of a Rashid Shaheed threat to him than with the Clint Kubiak offense, even though Shaheed's also fine where he's going. It's sort of like the wide receiver 55, wide receiver 56 range. So yeah, I like getting Olave as our wide receiver 3.
Yeah. And Kellen Moore talking about how these quarterbacks that that he has on the roster, like they can do an RPO type offense with them, right? With Tyler Shuck, with Spencer Rattler, with Jake Hayner. And in these RPO offenses, it's usually the wide receiver 1 who's being the first read, when they're taking that option to pass. So I think that's just another good thing for Olave. And again, just really a borderline elite receiver. Go look at the reception perception on Chris Olave. Go look at the game tape on Chris Olave. The guy is certified baller at this position.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's an appealing tier of wide receivers. Starting to see Igbuka go a little bit higher and higher, but that sort of range I think could end up having a bunch of players who could end up paying off.
On the clock here, Josh Downs, Aaron Jones, Khalil Shakir, Brian Robinson Jr., TJ Hawkinson.
I don't mind Jordan Mason here. I don't mind Jaden Higgins if you want to reach down. But if there's a player you have conviction towards the top here, I think that a number of these guys are fine. But I like Hawkinson. I like Mason. We could double tap a Minnesota and get a double Minnesota exposure.
Yeah, we could do that. Also, we have, if we wanted, Darnell Mooney for that week 17 correlation.
I'm not as enthused. I just with him being a little bit banged up to start the season, I think that it's going to be a lot more Drake London. I think that Bijan Robinson's targets are going to go up this year. I think that Mooney was really good last year, but I think a lot of it, where it was so much balance between him and London, was sort of reflective of Kirk Cousins spreading it around. With Penix, we have that 3-game sample where really wants to feed London, really wants to feed Robinson. So I sort of feel like Mooney's a purgatory pick in this range.
All right. Yeah, we got TJ Hawkinson there. Recapping this team real quick. At running back, Devon Achane, Kyron Williams, James Conner, Jordan Mason. Wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr., Mike Evans, Chris Olave. And at tight end, TJ Hawkinson.
It's a nice little build so far here.
Good start. Yeah. At running back, we won't need any more than just like one more running back. I mean, you could like maybe even make the case that we could, go fragile at 4 here, but I don't know how soundly we
Mason's not quite the hey, let's go 4 running back build guy. I think we're going to need a 5th, but I don't think we go past 5 for this team.
Yeah. Agreed there. Where did Igbuka go in?
Igbuka went like the 5th round in this
7.
one. Yeah.
Middle of the 6th.
6, 7. There you go.
Yeah. Man, he's rising quite a bit.
You're seeing him rising in every single format, like really rising in some of the big high stakes drafts as well, in managed leagues. I think that people are really starting to full on fade Chris Godwin and starting to really push the chips in on Igbuka. The vibes are incredible. And people will say, I'm not comfortable paying that price, but it's sort of like if Igbuka ends up in a full-time role starting week 1, I mean, he could go absolutely bonkers. He could be talking about 16 points per game, something like that. I don't think he'd reach full on what Chris Godwin did last year. I think that's a little bit too much to ask, but I think 15, 16 points per game in PPR, and definitely a player that you can correlate with Baker Mayfield, feel really good about that. You can correlate him with Bucky Irving. And then again, that week 17 matchup is awesome.
Yeah, I'm really very curious on whether the Bucs just put Now they've talked about how Igbuka can play all three spots at receiver. I'm curious if maybe they have him more in the slot. Like we saw Chris Godwin kind of return to his old slot role last year. I'm wondering if maybe they don't put Igbuka in the slot more, have Chris Godwin on the outside where it's just like a little bit less physically demanding than it is to play in the slot.
I don't know. I mean, 2 years ago, we go back to Godwin, the slot rate going way, way down. Last year, it went way, way up under Liam Cohen. But Jalen McMillan is not going to disappear. And now Igbuka is there. I think that there's a chance that Igbuka is in the slot like 40% of the time, which is still pretty good. So I'm not even sure. And I think that like there's two ways of projecting it. It's hey, let's project it with all these Bucks wide receivers healthy. And then, hey, let's think about where he's playing with the oldest set of starting wide receivers in the NFL.
We're on the clock here. Brandon Ayuk is available as far as QBs. Justin Fields, Caleb Williams, Drake May.
I like Dobbins here and calling it a day. We didn't take Harvey, and we could end our running back room here if you're comfortable with it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we get Dobbins, and then I don't know if I'm that excited about taking an Ayuk here. I would maybe take naked Drake May without correlation, just because I think he's a really strong pick. I think the vibes are really good with him. If you want to scroll down and find a different wide receiver, I'm okay with that too. Trey Harris doesn't seem like a fantastic bet at this point. If you want to push somebody up like a Burden, I don't mind doing that.
I love Drake May. We can do that. Take him here.
Yeah, let's take him here. And I don't think we
backstack him easily enough.
Yeah, we can backstack them, and we could do a very late stack. I like Demario Douglas. We're also playing catch up at the wide receiver position, so I think we can prioritize Douglas, and we can also just kind of break ties on Hunter Henry as the tight end too. Here, we're done at running back. I actually love the way that worked out because we get the double bet on Jordan Mason and J.K. Dobbins. If it sort of breaks our way, we end up with a ton of rushing touchdowns out of those two players, and we sort of avoid a little bit of the downside risk of guys like Aaron Jones and obviously RJ Harvey by kind of combining them.
Yes. Right now we got a 1-5-3-1 build. People at home are gnashing their teeth. They're writhing on the floor that we only have 3 wide receivers through 10 picks. They're yelling at their dog. They're yelling at their neighbors. They're pile driving their pet parrots. People, please don't do that. Too far. Okay.
There's gonna be some wide receivers we like, Greg, coming up. I think I'm never scared of this. I think that you never know which like the winning ticket is going to be. And the dart throws, we don't have to worry about late round running back dart throws at this point. I think also Hawkinson, where we use sort of a aggressive pick to get Hawkinson, like this could be potentially a 2 tight end build as well, sort of depending on the way this breaks. So we could end up kind of hitting wide receiver in volume.
Yeah, for sure. There are several tight ends still available now who would be fine enough. There's also one a little bit later who I think would be fine enough to just end at a 2 tight end build. Like we could easily kind of double tap receiver here, or if we needed to go another QB and receiver, we could also do that. The world is our oyster.
Yeah.
Are you an oyster guy? I'm not. I
love oysters.
I wish I was an oyster guy. It looks. People look like they're having the best time when they're eating oysters, and I can't get into it.
The key to oysters is make sure they're well sourced, because it's a fun game unless you get a not so good oyster. So be careful about your sources. I think that's just like in fantasy football, we want to be careful about where we're getting our information from. You also, with oysters, you want to be careful where they're getting sourced from. But yes, they're very enjoyable if you're an oyster person. It's an acquired taste, Greg.
I just have a dumb palate. About to be our pick. These are the receivers here. Kyle Williams, Hollywood, QJ,
I
These
don't
are the
I don't
tight
mind
ends.
Tillman. I don't mind Tillman here
Sure.
uncorrelated because I think he's going to be predictable week to week.
Hmm.
I mean, none of these guys are fantastic. I like the vibes with Romeo Dubs right now. Kyle Williams is it seems like he's behind here, and it's
Yeah.
really sort of a Diggs and obviously Demario Douglas. But again, we have the correlation, so we could push it. I'd rather take Demario Douglas and reach on him than take Kyle Williams here. I wouldn't mind actually reaching for Demario and ensure we get
Yeah.
that correlation here and just lock it down.
Let's do it. All right. Now we're 1-5-5-1. See?
There we go.
We're coming back here. Drake May, Devon Achane, Kyron Williams, James Conner, Jordan Mason, J.K. Dobbins, Brian Thomas Jr., Mike Evans, Chris Olave, Cedric Tillman, Demario Douglas, and T.J. Hawkinson. I like it. It's shaping up here. Yes, Cedric Tillman, very, very good sign that Stefanski said Jerry Jeudy not playing, Cedric Tillman not playing in this preseason game. I believe all the beat reports and everything are saying that yes, Cedric Tillman absolutely wide receiver 2, locked into a starting role there. He's another guy that people are a little bit hesitant to jump on. He's like late round Chris Olave, right? Because you have the question at quarterback, you have the question about how good the offense is going to be. It's a guy who suffered a concussion in the middle of last season, and then we didn't see him again for the rest of the year. But again, it's not an injury that I'm worried about. Yeah.
Yeah, Tillman's interesting because of the lack of wide receiver 3 there.
Mm-hmm.
You got guys like Harold Fannin Jr., guys like Deontay Johnson that I think are going to be a little bit of threats. But the gap between him and Jeudy, I think makes sense. But it's a non-zero chance that if Tillman can return to the level of play that he had last year in that very small sample size, that he can end up being close to the same level of scorer as Jeudy. And like you said, it's these perceived bad offenses giving us potential ADP wins. And I think when it comes down to Pop Douglas and Tillman, we have 2 wide receivers who are going to be on the field like a ton. It's not like we're betting on sort of a part-time player or necessarily a spike week guy. I mean, I think if anything, Douglas is not a spike week guy at all, but he's a weekly floor play. And at the end of the day, he could end up with 80 catches, 90 catches this year, the way that the beat reporters are sort of explaining his role in the offense and the connection he has. And also sort of get with the Vrabel, Josh McDaniel, you're talking about getting back to like old school Patriots days where the slot receiver was such a big part of the offense. And I think it helps Drake May. He's got experience playing with Pop Douglas as well.
Yeah. Pop Douglas has been tearing up camp, according to many reports. Just taking a look at these are the QBs who are available right now: Bryce Young, Geno Smith, Matthew Stafford, Anthony Richardson. Wondering where his ADP is going to fall after last night.
Yeah, I think we're a 3 QB build if it works out that way for sure. Yeah. I don't mind, would not mind just
we're on the clock here. Any of these QBs that you want, or do we want?
I would maybe lean Bryce Young because I think he has a little bit of rushing upside that he showed the end of last season. He's fully healthy. The vibes are good.
Beautiful. Love that. He does share a bye week with Drake May, but we're going to get a third QB. So that's not going to be a problem. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Hunter Henry goes off. Who would you like here?
Let's see the wide receiver.
Yeah, wide receiver, Quentin Johnson, Pat Bryant, Jalen McMillan.
I mean, it seems like a decent time to take QJ, but I don't mind taking Thielen here because we have now correlation with Carolina.
Oh, we got QJ.
Oh, we got QJ. Okay, no worries. We're good. Yeah, QJ's fine here. I mean, it's a nobody wants to click the button, but 14th round QJ. after the season he had last year. So I think he's fine.
Yeah. Jim Harbaugh and offensive coordinator Greg Roman keep talking up Quentin Johnston. And I mentioned this the other day of Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, speak glowingly about a lot of their players, but when that happens, then what we need to do is, well, let's look at like relatively, right? If they're saying like, oh, Jalen Reagor, he's really good, he's having a good camp. Well, but then they're saying about Quentin Johnston, like he is elite. This is an elite player, which he's not really an elite player, but when you look at how they're speaking about him relative to the other players that they're talking about, I mean, this is a guy that they clearly have plans to like keep out on the field. He's good with the ball in his hands. The problem is just getting his hands on the ball,
Yeah, I mean, the analytics people sort of hated QJ last year, but he had a couple of big bottom line weeks scoring wise. And I think the market wanted to move Trey Harris like way, way, way up. Where now I think QJ, the role is pretty clear. And we also don't think that there's a tight end who's going to be a tremendous target earner. The Roman historically doesn't target backs a whole lot. I think that could change a little bit this year because I think Omarion Hampton's a good pass catcher. But things are sort of in our favor that a late 14th round QJ, it could end up paying off.
Yeah, definitely a guy who is like can give you those big spike weeks. Like we saw it last season. And it was like some of it was a little bit fluky, like some of the touchdowns he's just like wide open by like 20, 25 yards.
Yeah.
But then there's like some good red zone stuff as well. I'm wondering, like they're saying that Trey Harris is practicing at Z, Quentin Johnston is our X. I'm wondering with Keenan Allen there now, like where like what positions do these guys actually end up in? Like I'd be much happier if Quentin Johnston was more like a flanker than an X. Just because he's not really that great at the contested catch, like kind of downfield stuff, but he is a guy that you want to get the ball into his hands kind of short and intermediate and let him go to work.
I think this is probably a tight end pick coming up or a quarterback pick. I think JT Sanders, he's still available.
Yeah, he should be available here. Yep.
I like JT Sanders on the comeback, and I like probably taking a quarterback here. Where's the team right behind us at with quarterbacks? Are they at 3?
They have 2.
They have 2. Yeah, Darnold? So I think we could. I think Darnold's fine here. Or we could go with somebody else if you want.
Let's see what he does here. See his QBs. He's got Kyler Murray and Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
I mean Darnold.
Yeah, let's go. We could go Darnold, or because tight end will be there next pick.
Yeah.
So let's lock down QB, and then we can look to add a Torrey Horton.
Yes, maybe
he'll
come back to us.
So which tight ends are available?
Tight ends that are available: Mike Gesicki, Kate Otten, Elijah Arroyo, Dalton Schultz.
Otten, we have a little bit of an interesting correlation with our Mike Evans bet, which I don't mind doing.
Yeah, got somebody in the chat here, a little super chat, John. On the clock in a rookie draft, Alec Iomanor or Torrey Horton. I know my pick here. I'm curious what you think, Theo.
I could make a case that in a rookie draft for Dynasty, I think I would go maybe Iomanor. For a best ball, I might be going Torrey Horton for like a this year bet. I think that Iomanor we liked coming out, but they're both sort of fine at cost in Dynasty.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I lean Horton. I think actually, it's interesting. The runway is really open for both of them. I think like Horton just a little bit better prospect to me. But I do realize that Io Manor, like he also has this kind of like prototypical build that like you could see this guy becoming a monster. Like he destroyed Travis Hunter in their matchup this past year. We see the like video of him against the Bucks the other day of just like absolutely shedding this guy that was trying to guard him. But I think we're seeing just like Horton immediately rise up this depth chart in Seattle. And again, like if he ends up like we get Mike McDonald the other day saying Marquez Valdez-Scantling, this guy's in a battle. Like Torrey Horton is coming up on him. And then I think that Cooper Kupp is washed. I could see a scenario where Torrey Horton becomes wide receiver 2 this year in Seattle, and definitely by next year. Overlay tool that I'm using is Spike Week. Love Spike Week. And we're going to be back here on the clock soon. Wow, Torrey Horton went at the 16-17 turn. Not cool.
No, you're going to end up with I think naked Sam Darnold here maybe, and maybe we push in a Arroyo as our tight end 3.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and do that now?
Yeah, if you want to do that, that's fine.
Did he go off? He's gone.
He's gone. Okay.
He's gone. Do you want Jawan Johnson?
I think Jawan Johnson is fine. If you want to push Harold Fannin and be a little more swing for the fences, I'm sort of in on that as well. But Jawan is fine.
And then we've got one.
We got correlation with that.
Yeah, we got one more receiver that we're going to take here. Darius Slayton, Jalen Knoll.
I like Slayton. I know you have a ton of Slayton as well. Mm-hmm. I think he makes sense. If you want to start pushing in just a little bit, I think that Tesla in this round is going to start being more and more common because there's some, positivity with him. We don't have any correlation though. It's up to you. If you want to him in another,
we'll take Slayton.
Let's take Slayton.
Yeah, got a bunch of him. Fine. Adding on there. Man, so upset that Torrey Horton went off. But it's all right. It's all right. This is a nice looking team here. Let's recap it. Quarterback, Drake May, Bryce Young, Sam Darnold. At running back, Devon Achane, Kyron Williams, James Conner, Jordan Mason, J.K. Dobbins. What a room that is. Wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr., Mike Evans, Chris Olave, Cedric Tillman, Demario Douglas, Quentin Johnston, Darius Slayton. Tight end, T.J. Hawkinson, Jatavian Sanders, and Jawan Johnson. How are you liking this team, Theo?
Yeah, I think this team has a lot of outs. I'm not sure I would change too much. I think we recovered at wide receiver pretty well. And tight end is an interesting room. We have some correlation there. I like JT Sanders. I think he's a really good value right now at like tight end 27 land. And TJ Hawkinson, we also get off to that really, really fast start with Addison suspended. So I imagine his ADP will tick up just a little bit in a couple of formats this month. And then running back, it's an awesome running back room. I mean, you can envision this being a really, if we're healthy at the end, this running back room could be really, really good.
Yeah, it could be a lot of playable weeks here. I mean, probably hitting the flex on a weekly basis with these running backs if they're healthy there. And this is a very fun, sporty team here. I love it.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, that is our draft. And Theo, before I let you go, I got to ask you, what are your 4 favorite films?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I did not prepare for this one. Okay, I'll say Goodfellas off the top.
Woo.
Just jumps out to me. Fantastic film. I'm going to say I love Heat. Heat is also just a great, great film. I can't go all gangster movies here. Let me pivot. I'll pivot around. I could go all gangster movies. I
You
go
can
top
if you
4
want.
gangster movies, and I'll throw a
Sure.
couple of
Yeah.
enjoyable ones.
Yeah.
I think that Casino is a fantastic film, and then I'll go Godfather 2. I think those are the 4 kind of goated gangster movies. All due respect to a couple of other ones. Godfather 1 certainly. And then I'll say, just for sheer enjoyment factor, my family, we've watched a lot of Marvel movies over the years. I'll say, and we've watched all of them. I mean, really, but I'll say Endgame was terrific. I think our family really loved that one. I'll say Winter Soldier, Captain America: Winter Soldier, way up there in the Marvel game. And maybe throw out a comedy for you.
Mhm.
Like I always enjoyed, just for comedies, I think that Naked Gun 1, classic comedy. And I'll throw out a more modern one. I love Dodgeball. So like the first 4, those are films, and then the others, I just sheer enjoyment for sure.
Have you seen the new Naked Gun?
I have not,
It's
but
so funny.
It looks fantastic. And I love like that they redid it and all that kind of stuff. So my wife and I were set to see it, and then it just didn't happen. And I don't know if it's going to happen till it's on demand now at this point. So
Oh no, you
go get in there.
Go see it in a theater with other people. It is such a great time. It completely captures the spirit of the first Naked Gun film, and like all those Naked Gun films. And we saw it, went with some friends and saw it opening night last week, and so God, just what an experience, man.
I'd love to see it. The last movie we went as a family, my wife and we took our kids. We saw Fantastic Four, really liked that. And now my wife and I were going to go see Weapons. We were supposed to go this weekend, but she ended up having to do something with my daughter. So I think we'll see Weapons together at some point, which I heard is just an awesome movie. So yeah, I'll try to make Naked Gun happen though as well. I really would like to see that one in theaters.
Watching it in theaters. God, it was so funny, and people were laughing so hard that you end up missing like multiple, tags, like multiple follow-up jokes, because you're laughing so hard, and like they're not pausing for laughter in the film. Like it just keeps going. Yeah, Weapons I have not seen yet. I am very anxious to see it. A friend of mine who's a big horror fan said that I believe he said it's the best horror film of the last decade.
That's a bold statement. Is it like a true horror film? I feel like it's like more, I don't know. It's like it seemed like there was like a mystery element to it. So yeah, I'm stoked for it either way. I like the fact that we don't know really what it's about, and there's so much, like they did such a good job with the trailers there. And all we know is that it's just this incredible movie with this incredible script, and all these people wanted to make this movie, and the cast looks awesome. It just looks fantastic.
Yeah, man, the Goodfellas and Heat right off the top is.
I mean,
those are two great.
They're goated.
Goodfellas is like, it has no business being as funny as it is. Like it's funnier than a lot of comedies. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And then Heat is just one of the all-time great films, like great dude films. It's De Niro at the top of his game. It's Val Kilmer at the top of his game. I mean, Pacino, that like diner scene between the
John Voight's in that movie. They have the cast is insane, and they're gonna make Heat 2. Sounds like it might happen.
It is.
There's some, but there might end up being with like DiCaprio. Somebody might attach themselves to that movie, so that movie might really take off. So I mean, Heat, I can just remember watching it for the first time, and it's one of those movies that anytime it's on, you put it on. It's just tremendous. But going gangster genre, we could have gone several other movies, but those sort of stand out. It's all, there's maybe 10 others we could have pushed into the discussion. I think Departed is fantastic. Obviously, Godfather 1 is fantastic. So there's plenty we could have talked about, but yeah, those ones stand out for me a lot.
I believe that Adam Driver is actually attached to play the young De Niro.
I saw that one.
Heat 2.
I think he'll do well in that.
Yeah, I believe it. He's a really good actor. All right, folks. Thanks for hanging out today. Next Wednesday, we've got Connor Allen and Derek Brown. Next Friday, we've got Chuck Bass and Danny Kelly. Going to be some great drafts there. Thanks for hanging out today. Theo, please let us know what you've got going on and where we can find you.
Yeah, you can find all my written work, all of my rankings over at Fantasy Points. My top 100 ranking is going to drop pretty soon, probably beginning of next week. And then all of my podcasts you can find as well. Fantasy Football Daily, dropping multiple shows a week. School of Scott, I'm recording that with Scott Barrett about once a week. And then Dynasty Life once a week as well. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you go check out the YouTube channel that we have over at Fantasy Points as well. We've really grown that this summer. I'm really proud of sort of the work we've been putting out video-wise recently as well.
Awesome. Yes, go check out all that stuff. Fantasy Points, so valuable to me. All right, cool. Thanks for coming on, dude. This is a great
anytime. This is fun.
Yes, sir. And all right, everybody. Peace.